Welcome to the Growth Frequency, the podcast where we explore the real behind the scenes journeys of coaches, therapists, and thought leaders building impactful businesses in a fast evolving world. I am your host, Laura, an online coach, hypnotherapist, and founder of Clever Scale AI, where we help coaches. I'm your host, Laura, online coach, hypnotherapist, the founder of Clever Scale AI, where we help coaches and therapists scale smarter, grow revenue, and reduce manual work through automation and strategic support. Today's guest is a true icon in the coaching industry, Laura Berman Fortgang. She is a best-selling author, Oprah guest, and the creator of Now What coaching method. Over the past 2 decades, she has helped thousands of people navigate career reinvention, discover their life purpose, and align with deeper meaning in their work and life. In this episode, we talk about the evolution of the coaching space, how Laura continues to adapt and lead, and where she still sees space for growth in her own business and in the industry at large. Let's dive in. Hi, Laura. Can you walk us through your journey in coaching and how your signature method, Now What, came to be?
Sure. I started out when it was over 30 years ago. So I was very young. I was just a baby and I was an actress and a waitress. So I had, worked in a restaurant. I did acting jobs probably 6 months out of the year. I became very disillusioned with the lifestyle. Like I just didn't want to do that anymore, even though I still loved my passion for the theater. And an old acting mentor of mine had become a coach, and I had never heard of such a thing. But he thought he could help me figure out what else I wanted to do. And I spent 2 years as a client, and I started a small company teaching presentation skills in corporations because, actors present themselves, people need to do better presentations. So that was the beginning of the transition. But then I realized that, to get the best out of people, I was doing something more than just telling them how to hold their hands or what to say. And I realized I wanted to be a coach like my coach. So I was one of the first 16 people trained in the United States in a formal coaching program. The same 16 people started the International Coaching Federation, which now is like one of the biggest bodies in the world that exists to credential coaches and coaching schools. And I just took off, like I found something that really spoke to me. I had all the experience of accepting rejection as an actor. So I had no fear of going out and selling this thing that nobody had ever heard of. And then coming up with my own methodology for career transition happened after 9/11. Literally 4 days after that event, my phone started ringing with people saying, life is too short. Anything can happen. I want to take the back burner dream and put it on the front burner. I know I want to do something else with my life. I don't know what I want to do. And I could only guarantee people 90 days of my time because if you remember, all travel stopped, many conferences went out of business, and all my work disappeared. And I was more at my desk doing coaching again. And so that became Now What 90 Days to a New Life Direction, because I was working with all these clients in 90 days. And that book has given me 25 years of work. I train other coaches in it. People find my TEDx talk, which has over 2 million views. And I've helped people figure out what they want to do with their life. And along the way, I've helped people start so many businesses that I also work with small business owners to grow their business, and specifically coaches. So that's the story.
That's so fascinating. What have been the biggest shifts you've witnessed in how coaches are showing up and how the clients engage?
Yeah, now it's not so much people asking what is coaching. Now it's more like I've met 100 of you this week. I don't know how to choose, right? So we have more coaches than people know what to do with. Everybody is a coach. The definition of coaching has gotten kind of watered down. Now it kind of means anything that you can be taught one-on-one is coaching. But as I know coaching, it's its own discipline of asking questions to get people to get to where they want to go instead of just advising them and telling them what to do. So the biggest change is that the public knows what it is. The biggest change is the public's not very educated on what coaching is. They just know they want a particular result and particular help. I think for coaches, it's become a very crowded marketplace. So how do you stand out? I still think it's a good thing that so many people are looking for a coach.
How have you seen other coaches or yourself adapt to this world that is so fast paced now? I think the clients get a bit distracted, and I have noticed that people want super quick results.
Yeah, people want an instant fix. I think that's always been the case. I don't think that's any different than when I started out. And my remedy for that is, like me, having your own method to get something done. So if you're a coach and you're listening to this, what result do you create consistently? Do you help business owners? Do you help mothers get their children to go to sleep? Do you help people heal? What is it that is the outcome, and realize that you probably have your own way of making that happen. And then you become a singular category of one. No one else does what you do when you have your own way of doing it. And I think that's become important as a way to stand out in a crowded marketplace.
To really find the niche, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
And not to be afraid that it's too narrow, because people want results. So sell them that result. You're known for a particular result. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's true. What is working particularly well in your own business today or in your own brand?
Getting out and speaking to people, whether it be virtually or in person. I mean, that's how I built my business a long time ago, and I still find that to be the most effective way, unless you're an influencer online and you've got 100,000 followers. I still think that being out and presenting what you do, giving people an example of what you do, helping them experience it, leads to more clients.
But on the other hand, where do you feel friction? Is there something about like systems or marketing or capacity issues that you feel is maybe slowing you down a bit?
I don't particularly feel slowed down. I mean, I'm keeping up with AI, I'm keeping up with, social media. But what I think holds people up is not being willing to invest in their business. So, part of making money is spending money. And I think a lot of small business owners are afraid to get the help that they need, or to hire an expert, or to get somebody that can help them do the parts that they don't like. And, I've always been someone who invested in my business, and I always am looking for new and younger people to help me stay current. And I think that that's a place where people cause the most friction for themselves, is they still want to do everything themselves, and that makes it hard to keep up.
Yeah. What have been the biggest lessons for you over the years? Maybe failures or something that was messed up really badly?
So let me think. One thing was early on just worrying about, every client that came and every client that went, and just really stressing about, you get one client, you lose two, you get one client, you lose three. So I remember a very conscious point where I just stopped worrying. Well, I just, stopped the stress and just knew, okay, it's going to work out. Just keep taking the action and it's going to work out. And it did. It did. It changed everything once I stopped being so stressed and I guess desperate. And then another big lesson I'd say I've learned along the way is to not be impressed by people with a big name, or people that are famous or that are well known for something. Like, they're still people, and I've coached a lot of famous people. I'm not allowed to say who, which is too bad, but they're just people. And I think that when you're presented with a big opportunity, whether that's someone with a lot of connections or a big company, that people get intimidated, or they're afraid, they get the imposter syndrome. They're afraid that they can't do it. And, you didn't get there by accident. So you belong there, and you have to act like you belong there, right? Act as if you don't believe it. And that's brought me a lot of opportunities to not be intimidated by my own luck.
That's very good. I have to mark it down. Looking ahead, maybe 6 or 12 months, do you have any goals for your business or vision? Where do you want to go?
I'm working on my 7-figure plan. So, I keep scaling and keep looking for opportunities to bring what I do to more people. Like that's really always been my philosophy, where, I never looked at it as scaling. I looked at it as, how do I get this to people at every price point, whether it be a low price point or a high price point. How many ways is my work accessible to people? I think, a future concern is AI. There are AI bots already that do coaching, and they do it well. So, how do we bring the human element that has not yet gotten into AI? And how do we use AI to boost our own productivity? So that's a place where I'm diving in.
How much do you work every day? What does your typical day look like? Are you like super loaded with work or are you easygoing? How is it for you?
I'm pretty easygoing. Like I do figure that I'm going to work Monday through Friday, but I keep Wednesdays very open, like a doctor. Like doctors and dentists who take Wednesday off, and I look at Wednesday as, am I going to work this Wednesday or am I taking this Wednesday off? And you would usually won't have more than 4 hours of client commitments on any given day. So the rest of the time it's either writing or some busy work, or go, do something with one of my kids or something. So I've always been fortunate and purposeful to leave a lot of room in my schedule. I like to look down and see a lot of flexibility in my schedule.
Very smart. Are there any places where you're finding it hard to sustain momentum, like lead generation, creation, or back-end operations?
I find content generation something that slows me down. So I recently, I had somebody who was helping me with that, and then I started to do it myself, and I'm like, that's taking up too much time. So once again, I've hired somebody. So like I said before, like I'm just not afraid to hire people for the pieces that are faltering or the pieces that I don't like. So lead generation slows me down. Not lead generation, content generation slows me down. So now I've found a solution for that. And I do something that I like to share because it's an example of using your time well. So I go live every Friday. I call it Friday Focus. So it's like a short 3 or 4 minutes on a topic for people to think about going into the weekend. I don't get a lot of people rushing to see my live. I do have some fans who show up every Friday, but that 4 minutes becomes my newsletter for the week, becomes my content for some posts, comes a YouTube video. We edit it down to 1.5 minutes for a YouTube video and do SEO on it. So that 4 minutes of input has a lot of output. And I get a lot of people asking me about my Friday stuff. Even if they weren't there live, like, you weren't there Friday. Where were you? So I just think it's a good example of like 4 minutes of my time. And there's so many products that come out of that. And I ask people to pay attention to how they can leverage their time like that. How can one small input equal a lot of output?
And if we fantasize for a second, if you would have a magic wand and you could remove just one obstacle in your business or in your ecosystem right now, whether it's time or the marketing part or structure, what would it be?
It would probably be, if I could wave the magic wand right now, I would want an excellent sales team because I'm ready to give up the sales function as not being mine. Like I'm ready to have it be a team that's well trained that can do it. So that would be my magic wand wish right now. That, and I have a special needs child, not heavy duty, but still enough to make life hiccupy, I'll say that way. And my other magic wand would be to bring healing to him and to anybody else who suffers from anything that holds them back. So there's my two magic wands.
Thank you. If you look at younger coaches, maybe like me or someone else, what would be, your big advice that you would give us about the industry in general or something else?
Well, the biggest thing to remember is that this business is about transformation. And I think it's easy to forget that because we have to spend more time marketing than actually delivering the transformation. So how can you put stuff out into the world that's transformational all the time, whether it's a client or a post or something else? At one point in my business, I had a company who, now I have my own person, but I had a company who answered my phone. And I would explain to them, this is a self-help industry. No one gets off the phone with you without being helped. So even if you don't have the answer, I want you to, make it your business to find the answer. So I think that that's important for people to remember, that it's not just about the money or the business or the size of your business. It's about the impact that you're making and that we can change the world one person at a time. So go do that.
Yeah, that's very important, especially when we try to automate stuff and bring AI in. Then all the coaches that I have been talking to say that, yeah, but there still needs to be this human contact. That's why I personally don't see the like ChatGPT to become everyone's therapist. Everything you said is correct. As a mirror, it's good, but sometimes we need to get the truth also, not only the sugar coating.
Yeah, I agree. That's what the coaching's all about, the truth. The things that you're putting in the way of your success, the things that you're not willing to do that will help your success. So the truth has got to come from a person. Yes.
Yes. If people want to work with you, to participate in your program or find you online, how can they do it?
If you can remember my name, you can find me. LauraBermanFortgang.com.
I'm gonna add it into the show notes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this talk. I feel very inspired. That is the reason why I wanted to start this podcast and to bring more awareness and more communication between coaches. So, thank you so much. I hope everyone who listened are also inspired, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks, everyone.